Well, hello. Welcome to another episode of What Nobody Told Me After 65. Well, it's your lady on the go, lady in the know, Miss Info. You have reached the Information Nation, where knowledge is shared and wisdom exchanged for the betterment of a people. Hello. I'm still struggling with these allergies, and it's storming right now. I mean, it's coming down. But it is what it is. Hurricane Debbie was downgraded to a tropical storm. She left us with a beautiful rainbow. And now she's back, or some parts of her is back, and it's just coming through like gangbusters. But I'm here. We're gonna get some. We're gonna get a video in today for real. Listen, I'm gonna talk to you just for a few minutes. So you think you got problems? Social Security is in trouble. They got problems. 1.1 billion of them. Oh yeah. As of today, Monday, August the 12th of 2024, Social Security has a backlog of improper payments to the tune of 1.1 billion bucks. That's a lot of moolah. Now, how is that possible, you say? Well, all we ever heard was Social Security is going broke. You won't be able to keep up. They won't be able to keep up with inflation. Perhaps we're going to no longer have Social Security. It's going the way of the dinosaur. We heard all of that, but nobody talked about the problems, internal problems with the Social Security Administration. So what is the real deal? An estimated 1.1 billion beneficiary payments have been improperly paid. Either they paid them too much or they paid them too little. Now, I talked to a friend of mine. He lives in North Carolina. He said that his girlfriend got a check like half of what it normally is, and told her that it would take them 20 months or 22 months to get it fixed. What's she supposed to do in the meantime? I don't know. Now, why is there a backlog? Why? No staff. Nobody is working anymore. I mean, after COVID, people have not gone back to work. My daughter is still working from home. Yeah. They're getting the work done, but the customer service aspect, they got work to do. They don't have time to be on the phone answering questions. They have got to process payments. They have got to make adjustments. They've got work to do. And so calling the Social Security Administration is a joke. You do better to go out there. But even then, you need an appointment. Back during COVID, the Social Security office in Delaware, you had to make an appointment days in advance. And sometimes you got there and you still couldn't get in. So, that's part of the problem. Staffing. And the Office of the Inspector General, the IG, has predicted an unprecedented backlog that represents 5.2 million people. There are processing delays that are given an average time of 698 days. That's almost 2 years. What the heck? 698 days. Here's a sidebar. I recently read a report that said most 50-year-olds are unprepared for retirement. They're giving them a new name. They're calling them silver squatters. Because they're unprepared, they are going to rely heavily on their children. Now, part of what the overall impediment to being prepared, not having, but to being prepared for retirement is inflation, housing, and caregiving responsibilities. You know, as we get older, we get sick. Who's going to take care of us if we're not married? Or if our spouse or significant other is also ill? As in the case with my friend, both he and his girlfriend are both ill. Now, the report also said if you're 55 years old, you got 10 years to get it together. Really? In the meantime, what are you supposed to do when everything has skyrocketed? Here's another little tidbit of information, some useless information that I'm going to share with you. Gen Xers are people who were born between 1965 and 1980. My daughter, my oldest, is a Gen Xer. Millennials are 1981 to 1996. Gen Y is 1981 to 1997. Seems like they're overlapping. Then they have this thing called Xennials, Xennials. If you're born between 1977 and 1983, you could be considered an Xennial. So my daughter could be a Gen Xer or an Xennial. And then the Gen Zs are 1990 to 2000. So when you hear all these terms flying around in the news and flying around Gen X, millennials, now you know. And I'll post it so that you can have it. Useless information. I'm going to check a little more into these silver squatters. Silver squatters. I don't know if I like that term. But let's get back to this Social Security backlog. Had cases been resolved immediately, the report from the Inspector General's office says only 528,000 people would have been affected, as opposed to the, how many did we say were affected before? As opposed to the 5.2 million. Now, that's a big difference. Only 528,000, about a half a mil, would have been affected and would have given about, and it would have amounted to about $500 million in improper payments instead of 1.1 billion. Half a dozen of 160 together. I guess a little bit is better than a little bit of leaven is better than whole loaf. Anyway, right now we're close to 2 years out. That's how we got to $1.1 billion. Now, the Social Security Administration has enacted new policies earlier this year, sometime in March, and that's to make it easier for recipients to resolve overpayment issues. Now, I'm going to give you two of those new policies. You can go to their website, which I'll give you, but Social Security will no longer collect 100%. It used to be if you had an overpayment, they came right in and snatched every penny up, 100%, as quickly as they could. I think they only had like 36 months to do it, to get it back. Now I think they pushed it out to 60 months. So instead of collecting 100%, now they collect 10% or $10, whichever is greater. Now that's good, but it's going to be longer for a repayment. And if you are affected by the old policy that came in March, anything after March of 2024, if you owe the Social Security Administration and they were taking 100%, you can call a 1-800 number and ask them to lower your withholding rate. You can also request a waiver to not pay back anything. After all, it wasn't your fault. Now, you have to fill out a form. You go to the Social Security Administration website and you ask for Form 632B as in boy, K as in craft, or K as in kite. I think that's better. And what you're looking for is called a waiver of overpayment recovery. 632BK, a request for a waiver of overpayment recovery. Now, most people should be eligible for that. I don't know many people that got overpaid from their Social Security. And what happens, you get overpaid and they don't figure it out for years. That's how it gets up into the tens of thousands of dollars. Crazy. But here's an agency that I found that is they're an advocate. They are called the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. I didn't even know that it existed. It was founded in 1982 by Congressman James Roosevelt. He's the eldest son of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Now, this National Committee to Preserve Social Security, it's a nonprofit organization, but you have to be a member, and that's how they survive. They don't take any money from any candidates or anything. And there's a $12 annual membership fee. I think that's reasonable. I'm going to put the information up in case you're interested in joining. Now, this is an advocacy group for seniors, mostly senior citizens, and that's who their audience is. In 2014, that's the only information I could find so far, they had a revenue, money that came in, reported at $22,079,955. Their expenses, though, were $25,013,421. Now, that's $3 million over what they brought in. However, that's for 2014. And if they were pulling that kind of money in every year, I'm imagining that they didn't spend quite as much on their expenses. Most of their expenses is direct mailing, telling senior citizens about, which candidates are actually for keeping and strengthening the Social Security. During Joe Biden's run, this National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, they donated to his campaign. They do promote basically Democrats, and they oppose those Republicans who do not agree with their policies and their philosophy. Now, could we see a COLA, cost of living adjustment, this year? Maybe. Wall Street predicts, and mind you, I didn't say the White House, Wall Street predicts that it's possible. Official numbers won't be released until October, but a raise of maybe 2.7 to 3.2% could happen. But the reality is the cost of food, everything's gone up, and food in particular, would likely gobble up any perceived increases. Now, just your basic necessities are astronomically high. I'm just going to tell you that eggs are up 80%. Sugar 45%. And we ain't getting 5 pounds no more. It's only a 4-pound bag. I told you about shrinkflation. And the non-nutritional, lettuce is not worth a blip. And it takes up a lot of nutrients to grow it. And it has the nerve to be up by 72%. Why? Well, there you have it. I would say in a nutshell, but I can't even afford nuts anymore. So, there you have it. You can take it or leave it. Why? Because you don't know what you don't know. Take care.